Hey folks, imagine this. You're digging through your pocket change, looking for a quarter to feed a parking meter, and boom, you spot a plain old 1965 Lincoln penny. You're about to toss it into the cup holder when you remember hearing about some rare pennies being worth a fortune. You take a closer look, and suddenly, your heart skips a beat. Could this be the one? Could this tiny, copper-colored disc be worth a jaw-dropping $1.80 million? Today, we're diving into the 1965 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, the mysterious coin that's got collectors and treasure hunters going nuts. Why is it so valuable? How can you tell if you have one? And most importantly, where should you check before you accidentally spend a fortune on a pack of gum? Stick around, because by the end of this video, you might just be rich and not even know it. Alright, let's take a little trip back to 1965. The Beatles were taking over the world. Gas was 31 cents a gallon, and the US Mint was in a bit of a pickle. See, back then, people were hoarding silver coins like they were doomsday prepping, and the government was scrambling to fix a coin shortage. To make things easier, they stopped putting mint marks on coins from 1965 to 1967. Now, most of these pennies were just regular 1-cent pieces made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. But then, something weird happened. A tiny batch of these pennies turned out to be special, very special. This particular 1965 no-mint mark Lincoln penny wasn't just an ordinary penny. It was mistakenly struck on a silver planchet. Simple, it's the blank metal disc that gets stamped to become a coin. Usually, pennies are made of copper, but a few lucky 1965 pennies got struck on leftover silver dime planchets from previous years. That little mistake? It turned a worthless penny into a millionaire's dream. Now, before you start dumping your piggy bank on the floor, let's talk about how to spot one of these rare beauties. So, how do you know if you've hit the jackpot? Well, first things first, grab a magnet. If your 1965 penny sticks to a magnet, sorry, no $1,000,000 for you. But if it doesn't stick, you might be onto something. The weight test. A regular 1965 penny weighs 3.11 grams, while a silver planchet penny will weigh about 2.5 grams, just like a silver dime. A simple digital scale can help you with this. They have a silvery, almost whitish tint instead of the usual reddish-brown copper look. If yours looks like it could pass as a dime in disguise, that's a good sign. If your penny checks all these boxes, get it authenticated ASAP. A professional grading service like PCGS or NGC can confirm if you've got a real deal or just an ordinary penny that's been through the washing machine too many times. Now, let's talk about the money. Why is this penny selling for $1.80 million? Well, it all comes down to rarity and demand. There are only a handful of these silver-struck 1965 pennies known to exist, and collectors love rare mistakes. The rarer the coin, the bigger the price tag. A perfect, uncirculated one can command life-changing amounts at auction. If you had one of these, you wouldn't just toss it in a tip jar, would you? My personal close call with a valuable coin. I'll never forget the time I almost spent a rare coin without knowing it. A few years back, I was cleaning out an old desk drawer and found a 1943 steel penny. I figured, hey, a penny's a penny, right? Almost gave it to the cashier at a gas station. Then something in my brain said, wait a minute. I looked it up, and turns out, some of those 1943 pennies are worth six figures if they were mistakenly made in copper. Mine? Sadly, just the regular steel one worth a few cents. But that moment stuck with me. I almost gave away something rare without realizing it. And that's why you always gotta check. Grab a magnet, a scale, and your old coin jar. Check those 1965 pennies, because if you find the right one, you could be sitting on a fortune. And hey, if you enjoyed this video and want more tips on coins worth money and collecting strategies, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You never know, your next coin find could be a life changer. Now go check those pennies. And if you find one worth $1,000,000, just remember who told you about it first. Alright, folks, let me ask you something. What if I told you that a simple penny, yes, one you probably walked past in a parking lot or found under your couch, could be worth nearly $2 million? That's right. Today we're talking about a 1996 Lincoln penny that sold for a jaw-dropping $1.90 million. Now, before you run to your piggy bank or start shaking out your car mats, let me tell you how I almost missed out on a valuable penny myself. True story. A few years back, I was at a diner, about to pay for my coffee, when I noticed an old penny in my change. Looked a little different, kinda shiny, but worn. I thought, it's just a penny, and tossed it in the tip jar. Later that night, I got curious and looked up rare pennies from that year. Turns out, I had given away a coin worth over $500. Folks, I practically tipped my waitress a steak dinner and a weekend getaway. So, don't make my mistake. Stick around, and I'll tell you exactly what makes the 1996 D penny so rare, how to identify it, and why it's commanding such an insane price in today's market. You might be wondering, what's so special about this penny? Was it minted on Mars? Does it have a hidden treasure map engraved on it? Not quite, but close. The reason this penny is so valuable comes down to a rare minting error and a one-of-a-kind discovery. First, the 1996 D Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, as indicated by the little d mark under the year. Normally, these coins aren't rare. Denver pumped out 6.6 billion pennies that year. But within that massive batch, a tiny handful had a crazy minting mistake. This particular penny was struck on the wrong planchet, meaning instead of being made of regular copper-plated zinc, it was struck on a planchet meant for a dime. This makes it thinner, shinier, and slightly lighter than a normal penny. The error wasn't noticed at the time, and only a few examples have ever surfaced, making them incredibly rare. So, let's say you're digging through your spare change, and you think you might have one of these hidden gems. It must have a D under the date, meaning it was minted in Denver. A regular penny weighs 2.5 grams, but this error coin weighs around 2.3 grams because it was struck on a dime planchet. Unlike normal pennies, which have a smooth edge, this one might have a slightly raised or incomplete edge due to the incorrect planchet. It may look a bit different in color, slightly shinier or silverish rather than the usual copper tone. If you have a coin that matches these descriptions, do not spend it on a vending machine snack. You could be sitting on a small fortune. Now, let's talk about the big sale. In early 2024, a collector came across this rare penny in a bulk coin purchase. He noticed the weight was off, got it authenticated, and the penny was graded as MS67 by PCGS, a near-perfect condition. Once word got out, collectors went wild, and at an auction, one of the top bidders dropped $1.9 million to add it to their collection. That's right, a single penny sold for nearly $2 million. If that doesn't make you want to check your pockets, I don't know what will. Let's say you're lucky enough to find a 1996 D error penny. Use a jeweler's scale to check the weight and compare it to regular pennies. Send it to PCGS or NGC for official grading. Auctions like heritage auctions or private collectors will pay top dollar. All right, folks, we've covered why this 1996 D penny is so valuable, how to identify it, and how one lucky collector turned pocket change into a millionaire's payday. Go through your jar of change, check under your couch cushions, maybe even take a peek at that old piggy bank from childhood. Who knows? You might just find a coin that changes your life. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I post weekly videos on rare coins, collecting strategies, and hidden treasures you don't want to miss. All right, folks, imagine this. You're digging through your couch cushions, maybe looking for some loose change for the vending machine, and BM. You find a penny. No big deal, right? Just 1 cent. But what if I told you that little copper coin could be worth a whopping $2 million? Yeah, you heard me right too. $1 million. Today, we're talking about the 1972 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, a coin that looks like every other penny but could turn you into a millionaire if you're lucky enough to find the right one. So, grab your piggy banks, empty your pockets, and let's dive into the world of rare pennies, valuable errors, and why some of these coins are worth serious money. A personal story. My first big coin surprise now. Before we get into the nitty-gritty details, let me tell you about the time I almost threw away a valuable penny. Years ago, I was rolling up some spare change, completely oblivious to the fact that some pennies could be worth more than my car. I'm mindlessly stacking them, and my buddy, who's big into coin collecting, glances over and says, "Hey, that's a 1969 S double die. You might want to hold on to that." I laughed, thinking he was messing with me. But sure enough, after looking it up, I realized I had a coin worth thousands. Let's just say that was the day I stopped seeing pennies as just pennies. Why is the 1972 no-mint Mark penny so special? First things first, if you're wondering why this penny is worth so much, it all comes down to a rare minting error. In 1972, the Philadelphia Mint struck a batch of Lincoln pennies with a double die obverse error. This means the design was stamped twice, slightly misaligned, creating a doubling effect. Collectors love these kinds of errors, and the 1972 double die penny is one of the most famous. But here's the kicker. not every 1972 penny has this error. Most are just regular old pennies, worth, well, 1 cent. But a select few have this doubling, and those are the ones that can sell for insane amounts of money. All right, so how do you know if you're holding on to a rare 1972 penny instead of just another piece of pocket change? The doubling is most noticeable on In God We Trust, Liberty, in the year 1972. If these letters look blurry or doubled, you might have a winner. The Philadelphia Mint didn't use mint marks in 1972, so if your coin has a D or S, sorry to say, but it's not the big money one. Even if you have a double die penny, the better the condition, the more it's worth. Coins in mint condition, with no scratches or wear, fetch the highest prices. Now, let's talk numbers. While not every 1972 double die penny is worth millions, the highest graded specimens can sell for jaw-dropping amounts. Circulated versions, ones that have been used in everyday transactions, can go for $100 to $500. Uncirculated versions, ones that look brand new, start at around $1,000 and can reach up to $10,000. Graded MS67 or higher have sold for $2 million or more at auctions. That's right, a tiny penny worth more than a mansion. Just imagine paying for a house with a single coin. Try explaining that to your bank. Where to sell a rare 1972 penny? If you think you have one of these valuable pennies, don't just go spending it on a pack of gum. Organizations like PCGS or NGC can certify and grade your coin, giving it an official value. eBay, Heritage Auctions, and Stax Bowers regularly sell rare coins for top dollar. If you want a quick sale, some shops will buy rare pennies on the spot. Just make sure you know its value before selling. So, next time you come across a penny, don't just toss it in a jar and forget about it. Take a closer look. You might be sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. The 1972 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is proof that even the smallest coins can have massive value. If you enjoyed this video and want more tips on coins worth serious money, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Also, let me know in the comments, what's the coolest coin you've ever found? Hey folks, imagine this. You're digging through some old change, looking for a quarter for the parking meter, and boom, you find a 1973 D Lincoln penny. No big deal, right? Until you look it up and realize, wait a second, this thing could be worth $2.1 million. Yeah, you heard me right. Now, before you flip over every couch cushion in a panic, let me walk you through what makes this penny so special, how to know if you have one, and, most importantly, how you might turn that little copper coin into a life-changing payday. Stick with me, because by the end of this, you'll never look at a penny the same way again. All right, so let's get down to business. A regular 1973 D Lincoln penny? Worth exactly 1 cent. Maybe 2 cents if you're lucky. But one rare version of this penny sold for a mind-blowing $2.1 million. So what makes this one so special? Well, it all comes down to errors in materials. See, most 1973 pennies were made of copper, but a few were accidentally struck on aluminum planchets, a type of metal blank that was supposed to be used for experimental coins that never went into circulation. The U.S. Mint was playing around with aluminum pennies because they were trying to cut costs, but they scrapped the idea and ordered all aluminum pennies to be destroyed. Problem is, some of them didn't get destroyed. A few slipped out, and now they're some of the rarest and most valuable coins in existence. And one of them? Yeah, it's got that little D mint mark, meaning it was made in Denver. That's the one that sold for $2.1 million. Okay, so how do you know if your 1973 D penny is worth life-changing money? First, check for these signs. It looks different. A real 1973 D aluminum penny will be much lighter than a regular copper penny. Copper pennies weigh about 3.11 grams, while aluminum ones weigh about 0.93 grams. That's less than a third of the weight. If it feels weirdly light in your hand, you might be onto something. It has a Denver mint mark. Flip your penny over and look under the date. If there's a little D, you're in the running. No D? Well, it's still a penny. So hey, freemoney.it doesn't stick to a magnet. Aluminum is not magnetic. So if your penny clings to a magnet like your crazy uncle clings to conspiracy theories, then it's probably just a regular copper penny. It's in great condition. That $2.1 million penny, it wasn't just rare, it was in almost perfect condition. If your penny looks like it went through a garbage disposal, it's probably not worth millions, but it might still be worth something. A personal story. My near $1 million miss now. Let me tell you a little story about how I almost became a millionaire and completely blew it. A few years back, I was at a flea market, digging through a big bowl of pennies some guy was selling for a quarter each. I grabbed a handful, paid my $2, and went on my merry way. I'm sorting through my new treasures, and I find a 1973 D penny that looked way too shiny. It was super light, too. I remember thinking, that's weird. But instead of checking it properly, I spent it the next morning on a coffee. That same week, I found out about the $2.1 million sale, and I almost fainted right there in my kitchen. Now, do I know for sure that I had an aluminum penny? No. But do I lose sleep over it sometimes? Absolutely. Moral of the story? Check your change. Let's say you go through your jar of pennies tonight, and boom, you find one that looks promising. Don't clean it. I know it's tempting to make it all shiny, but cleaning coins destroys their value. Just leave it be, weigh it. Get a small digital scale that measures in grams and check if it's under 1 gram. Get it authenticated. Send it to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll tell you if it's legit. Auction it off. If it's the real deal, big auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stax Bowers will be fighting to sell it for you. And with a coin this rare, there will be collectors ready to throw down millions. That little penny you've been ignoring could be worth more than your house. And even if you don't find the $2.1 million jackpot, there are plenty of other valuable pennies out there waiting to be discovered. Check your change. Dig through your old coin jars, your car cup holders, and that drawer full of random junk. And if you find something interesting, drop a comment and let me know. And hey, if you enjoyed this video and want more tips on valuable coins hiding in plain sight, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because trust me, you do not want to miss the next one. All right, folks, I've got a question for you. What if I told you that a simple 2016 Lincoln penny, yes, that little copper-coated coin you probably have in your pocket or couch cushion right now, could be worth a staggering $2.2 million? Sounds crazy, right? But hold on, because this is not just some internet rumor. This is real, and today, we're diving deep into the story behind this incredibly valuable penny, what makes it special, and how you might just be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it. But before we get into it, let me tell you about the time I almost tossed away a valuable penny without a second thought. Years ago, I was at a gas station, paying for a cup of coffee, when I dropped a handful of change on the counter. The cashier picked up a penny and said, "You know, some of these are worth a lot of money." I laughed and said, "Yeah, sure, maybe in like 100 years." Fast forward to today, and here I am, telling you about a 2016 penny worth over $2 million. If I had known back then what I know now, I would have checked every single penny in my pocket. Lesson learned. So grab your loose change, get comfortable, and let's dive into the mystery of the 2016 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Now, let's get one thing straight. Not every 2016 Lincoln penny is worth a fortune. If that were the case, we'd all be millionaires, and let's be honest, I wouldn't be here making YouTube videos. I'd be on a private island sipping something fancy. But this specific penny is special because it's a rare error coin. The 2016 Lincoln penny was struck without a mint mark and features an extremely rare double-die obverse error, which, in plain English, means the front of the coin has slight doubling in the details, like Lincoln's eye or lettering. This kind of error is what gets collectors drooling and bidding outrageous amounts of money. To put this in perspective, millions of 2016 pennies were minted, but only a handful of these error coins exist. That's what makes them so valuable. Think of it like winning the lottery, except instead of picking numbers, you're digging through your spare change. Now, here's where it gets interesting. A lucky collector, probably just like you, found one of these 2016 pennies while sorting through their pocket change. At first, it looked normal, but upon closer inspection, they noticed something was off with Lincoln's face. After sending it off to be authenticated, boom, a multi-million-dollar payday. Imagine finding a penny on the ground, picking it up, and later realizing it's worth more than a Lamborghini. That's exactly what happened. All right, so now you're probably wondering, how do I check my pennies? If there's a tiny D Denver or P Philadelphia below the date, it's not the one. You're looking for a blank space. Use a magnifying glass if you have to. Look for any signs of doubling, particularly in the eye and lettering. This specific penny should weigh around 2.5 grams. If it's significantly different, you might have something unusual. If you think you have one, don't just throw it on eBay for $50. Get it authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Now, here's the moment you've been waiting for. The last known sale of one of these 2016 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies with the error went for a jaw-dropping $2.2 million. That's more than the price of a mansion in some parts of the country. Of course, not every 2016 penny will be worth that much, but even lesser error versions have sold for thousands of dollars. So, before you dump your change jar into a Coinstar machine, take a second look. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, "I had one of those, but I spent it." My heart breaks a little every time. You might be handing a fortune to your barista. Never, and I mean never, clean a coin. It kills the if you find one. Do your research before selling. Some auction houses will help you get the best price. All right, folks, if you've made it this far, congratulations. You now know more about the 2016 no-mint mark Lincoln penny than most people ever will. But more importantly, you might just have $1 million coin hiding in your home right now. Check your pennies. Go through your pockets, your car, that old piggy bank from when you were a kid. And if you find something interesting, let me know in the comments. I love hearing these stories. And hey, if you want to keep learning about hidden treasures in your pocket change, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I've got plenty more coin hunting secrets coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss out. All right, folks, let me ask you a question. How often do you actually check your pocket change? Be honest. You probably just grab your pennies, shove them in a jar, or, if you're like me, let them mysteriously disappear into the depths of your couch cushions. Well, what if I told you that a 2006 Lincoln penny, a simple 1-cent coin, could be worth a jaw-dropping $2.30 million? Yeah, you heard that right. One little penny, worth more than a mansion, a Ferrari, and a lifetime supply of coffee combined. And before you say, "Come on, that's gotta be fake," stick around, because I'm about to break down why this coin is so valuable, what makes it special, and how you might just have one sitting in your coin jar right now. Plus, I've got a hilarious personal story about a time I almost threw away a valuable penny. Yep, I'm still kicking myself over that one. So grab your loose change, because by the end of this video, you'll be checking every single penny like a detective on a mission. All right, so let's start with the basics. The 2006 Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, hence the little D mint mark under the date. Sounds normal, right? Millions of these were made. Nothing unusual, until you realize that one of them, just one, sold for $2.30 million. That's not a typo. That's $2.3 million. 4. A. Penny. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, but why? What's so special about this one? Well, this particular 2006 penny was struck on a bronze planchet instead of the usual copper-plated zinc. Basically, the US Mint accidentally used the wrong metal, which is like ordering a regular cheeseburger and getting one made of solid gold instead. Literally. Because this was never supposed to happen, it's incredibly rare. And when something's rare in the coin collecting world, collectors will pay big money to own it. So how do you know if your 2006 penny is the one? A regular 2006 penny weighs about 2.5 grams, but the bronze error coin is heavier at 3.1 grams. So if you've got a digital scale lying around, start weighing those pennies. A standard 2006 penny has a more reddish hue because of the copper plating. The bronze one has a richer, deeper brownish tone. This penny isn't supposed to be magnetic, so if it sticks to a magnet, sorry, it's just a regular penny. This one's for the pros, but if you drop it on a hard surface, the bronze penny has a distinct ring compared to a dull clink from a normal one. Now, before you run off to check your penny stash, let me tell you a quick story that will make you want to be very careful with your loose change. A few years back, I was cleaning out my car, because let's be honest, sometimes it turns into a personal landfill, and I found a penny on the floor. It looked old, like something was off about it. But instead of checking it, I tossed it into a jar of random change. Fast forward a month later, I saw a news story about a rare penny that had been found just like the one I had. I sprinted to my coin jar like I was in an Olympic race, only to realize that I had already spent it at a vending machine for a bag of chips. That's right. I traded a potentially valuable coin for a snack. And the worst part? The chips were stale. All right, let's talk numbers. The most famous 2006 bronze penny sold for $2.3 million. But even if you don't have the $1 million penny, there are still some valuable error pennies from that year. Like off-center strikes or double dies can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So even if your penny isn't the big jackpot, it could still be worth way more than 1 cent. Collectors are always on the lookout for these rarities, and the market for error coins is hotter than ever. If you think you've got a valuable one, get it authenticated by a professional coin grading service before making any moves. Alright, folks, let's recap. The 2006 D Lincoln Penny might look like just another coin, but one special mistake made it worth $2.3 million. If you want to know if you have the golden ticket of pennies, remember, check the color, deeper, brownish tone. Try the magnet, shouldn't stick, should have a clear ring. Don't be like me. Don't let a valuable penny slip through your fingers for a stale bag of chips. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about coins worth money, rare finds, and coin collecting strategies, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more insider tips coming your way, and trust me, you don't want to miss them. And hey, let me know in the comments, what's the coolest coin you've ever found? Who knows, maybe you're sitting on a hidden treasure. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel where we talk about coins worth money. And today, I have a question for you. Have you ever found a penny in your pocket and thought, meh, it's just a penny? Well, let me tell you something. That little copper-colored coin could actually be worth more than a brand new Lamborghini. Yeah, you heard that right. Today, we're diving into the insane story of the 2003 no-mint mark Lincoln Penny, a tiny little coin that's causing big waves in the collecting world. One of these pennies recently sold for $2.4 million. And if that doesn't make you want to go digging through your couch cushions, I don't know what will. Now, before you run off to check your spare change, stick with me. I'm going to break down exactly why this penny is so valuable, how you can tell if you have one, and what to do if you hit the jackpot. Plus, I've got a personal story about how I almost threw away a valuable coin. Let's just say, I learned my lesson the hard way. All right, grab your pennies, grab your magnifying glass, and let's get into it. So, what makes this penny worth millions? Well, it all comes down to a rare minting error. Normally, Lincoln pennies from 2003 should have either a D for Denver Mint or a P for Philadelphia Mint. But this one? Completely blank. No mint mark. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so someone just rubbed the mint mark off, right? Nope. This wasn't a case of some bored kid scratching his coin with a rock. This penny left the US Mint without a mint mark, a true mint error that collectors go crazy for. If you were buying a Ferrari and suddenly found out it was the only one in the world with no logo, that odd little detail would make it even more special and way more valuable. Same thing with this penny. Now, here's where it gets even wilder. Not only is this a one-of-a-kind error, but it's also in perfect condition. Coin collectors are obsessed with something called grade, basically, how flawless the coin is. The 2003 no-mint mark Lincoln Penny that sold for $2.4 million was graded MS69, which is basically like finding a 20-year-old car with 0 miles on it. The coin is practically untouched, which drives collectors nuts. There's only one known example of this coin in this condition. It's like winning the lottery, except the winning ticket was sitting in someone's change jar for 2 decades. All right, now for the part you've been waiting for, how to check if you have one of these golden tickets. Grab all your 2003 pennies. Seriously, dig through your piggy banks, junk drawers, and car cup holders. You never know. Look at the front of the coin, right under the date. If there's a little D or P there, sorry, no millions for you. But if there's nothing there, well, my friend, you might just be onto something. Check the condition. If your penny looks like it's been through a war zone, it's probably not worth much. But if it's shiny and practically untouched, you might have a jackpot on your hands. If you think you've got something special, get it graded by a professional. The best way to do this is to send it to a coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. If they confirm it's a genuine mint error and it's in top condition, congratulations, you're in for a payday. All right, time for a personal story. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my car and found a handful of old pennies under the seat. They were covered in dust and honestly, I was about to just toss them in a Coinstar machine, but something stopped me. Call it coin collector's intuition. I decided to take a closer look, and boom, I had a 1972 double-die penny sitting right there in my hand. Not $1 million coin, but still worth a few $100. How many valuable coins have I thrown away over the years? Probably more than I want to admit. Always check your change before you cash it in, because you never know when you're holding something special. So, there you have it. The story of the 2003 no-mint mark Lincoln Penny, a tiny little coin that turned into a multi-million-dollar mystery. These rare finds don't pop up every day, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't keep an eye out. The best part about coin collecting is that anyone can do it. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, the next big discovery could be hiding right in your pocket. And hey, if you found this video helpful or at least entertaining, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons more tips on coins worth money, collecting strategies, and how to turn pocket change into a fortune. Have you ever found a valuable coin in your change? Or do you have a story about a coin you wish you had kept? Let's hear it. All right, folks, let me ask you a question. Have you ever found a penny on the ground, picked it up, and thought, it's just a penny? Well, what if I told you that penny could be worth $2.5 million? Yeah, you heard me right, $2.5 million for a little OL 1979 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Now, I know what you're thinking, how in the world can a penny be worth that much? Well, stick around, because today we're diving deep into this incredible coin. We'll talk about why it's so rare, how to tell if you've got one, and what it might fetch in today's market. And trust me, by the end of this video, you're going to be tearing through your couch cushions, raiding your piggy bank, and asking Grandma if you can check her old change jar. But first, let me tell you a quick story about a time I almost threw away a valuable coin. Because I know I'm not the only one who's made this mistake. I'm at a gas station, and I get some change back. As usual, I barely glance at it before shoving it in my pocket. Later that night, I'm cleaning out my pockets, and I see this old, beat-up penny. Something about it looks off. It just feels different. But instead of checking it, I do what any normal person would do. I toss it into a jar with all the other loose change. Fast forward a few months, and I'm going through my coins, looking for anything valuable. I remember that weird penny, so I dig it out. Turns out it was a rare error coin worth over $200. And I almost gave it away for nothing. Always check your coins, because the next one you find might just be one of these legendary 1979 no mint mark pennies. And let me tell you, this bad boy is the kind of coin that makes collectors go absolutely nuts. So what makes this penny so special? Well, in 1979, most pennies were struck with either a D for Denver or an S for San Francisco. But a small number of them were accidentally struck without a mint mark. That means they were likely minted in Philadelphia, but for some reason, they left off the mark entirely. Now, missing mint marks happen from time to time, but what makes this penny insane is the condition. The one that recently made headlines? It was graded in nearly perfect condition, which is ridiculously rare. A well-circulated 1979 no mint mark penny. Probably worth just a few cents. Maybe a couple of bucks if it's in decent shape. But if you have one in pristine, uncirculated condition, buckle up, because one of these babies recently sold for $2.50 million. That's right. Someone out there is now a millionaire because they held on to a penny. Let that sink in. Now, you might be wondering, okay, how do I know if my 1979 penny is the one? Flip that penny over and look just below the date. If there's a little D or S there, sorry, it's not the one. If there's no mint mark at all, you might be onto something. Look at the condition. The real money is in high-grade coins. If your penny looks like it just came fresh from the mint, no scratches, no wear, super, then you might have a serious payday on your hands. If you think you have a rare one, don't just throw it on eBay for a few bucks. Send it to a professional coin grading service. A verified high-grade coin is what brings in the big bucks. Why this penny is so valuable? You're probably wondering, okay, but why would anyone pay $2.5 million for a penny? Well, the rare coin market is all about demand. Collectors want the rarest, best condition coins they can get their hands on. And when something this unique shows up, especially in near-perfect condition, bidding wars break out and prices go through the roof. Think of it like sports memorabilia. A regular baseball? A few bucks. But if it's Babe Ruth's signed baseball, suddenly it's worth millions. Same idea here. This means there could be more of these million-dollar pennies sitting in people's houses, hiding in old jars, or jingling around in pockets right now. So, before you spend that penny, take a second look. Because you never know, it might just be your ticket to early retirement. All right, folks, now that you know about this insane 1979 no mint mark penny, what's the first thing you're going to do? Check your coins, of course. And while you're at it, start paying closer attention to your pocket change. You never know what kind of treasure you might find. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about coins worth serious money, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I post videos just like this all the time, helping you spot valuable coins and build a killer collection. If you do find a rare coin, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your stories. Hey there, fellow coin hunters. What if I told you a regular-looking penny from 1989, one you might have in your pocket right now, could be worth a jaw-dropping $1 million? Sounds like a scam, right? Like one of those Prince of Nigeria emails? But nope, this is 100% real. Today, we're diving into the mystery of the 1989 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny, why it's worth a fortune, how to spot one, and, most importantly, how you can cash in if you're lucky enough to find one. And trust me, you don't want to miss this, because this story involves a little bit of US mint drama, some printing mistakes, and, of course, a whole lot of money. But before we get into all that, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was sorting through a jar of old pennies, the kind that just sits in the corner collecting dust and pocket lint. I wasn't expecting much, maybe a wheat penny or two. But then, bam, I saw something weird. The date looked off, and there was no mint mark. My heart started racing. Could this be the penny? I grabbed a magnifying glass, did some research, and turns out, it was just a worn-out coin. No jackpot for me. But that moment stuck with me because it proved one thing. Valuable coins are out there, and you never know when you'll find one. Most pennies from 1989 should have a small letter under the date. If it was made in Philadelphia, it won't have a mint mark, which is normal for Philly coins. If it was made in Denver, you'll see a D, and if it was made in San Francisco, it'll have an S. Simple, right? Well, in rare cases, a few Philadelphia pennies were struck with a minting error that made them different from the rest. Instead of being an ordinary 1-cent coin, these special pennies were struck using a special proof die, a die that was never meant for regular circulation. Because of this mistake, the coin has a unique appearance, sharper details, and a much higher value. And if you've got one of these rare misprints, well, congrats, my friend. You're sitting on a potential $1 million payday. All right, so let's say you're digging through your piggy bank, and you come across a 1989 penny. How do you know if you've struck gold? Or, well, copper? Unlike normal pennies, these rare ones have an incredibly crisp design. Look closely at Lincoln's beard, hair, and coat. If they look unusually sharp, you might have something special. Some of these error coins were struck with a proof die, meaning they have a shinier, almost reflective surface. Weigh it. A normal 1989 penny should weigh 2.5 grams. If it's significantly different, that could mean it was struck on a different planchet. If your penny checks all these boxes, you're going to want to get it authenticated ASAP. And no, don't take it to your cousin who knows a lot about coins. Send it to PCGS or NGC, the professionals who grade and verify rare coins. Now, you might be thinking, okay, so it's rare, but why $1 million? Well, collectors go crazy for error coins, especially one-of-a-kind mistakes like this. When an error coin is rare, demand goes up. And when demand goes up, so do prices. It's simple economics. My friend point one of these 1989 no-mint mark pennies sold for over $1 million at auction because it was in near-perfect condition and had all the right error traits. This is why checking your spare change is always a good idea. People unknowingly spend rare coins every single day. That cashier at McDonald's? He might have handed you a fortune with your change, and you wouldn't even know it. Check your old jars of coins. If you have rolls of pennies you've never gone through, now's the time. Ask banks for penny rolls. Some of the best finds come straight from bank rolls that go through your grandparents' change. Older family members might have held on to pennies from the 80s without realizing their value. Hit up garage sales and flea markets. People sell off old coin collections all the time without knowing what they have. And hey, if you don't find a 1989 no-mint mark penny, don't be discouraged. There are plenty of other valuable pennies out there. The incredible story of the $1 million penny. The next time you see a 1989 penny, don't just toss it aside. Give it a good look. It could change your life. And if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more tips on coins worth money, how to spot valuable errors, and how you can turn your spare change into serious cash. And if you've ever found a rare coin, or thought you did, like I did, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your story. All right, picture this. You're digging through an old jar of pennies, maybe looking for some gas money, or just trying to clean out that kitchen drawer that's been a time capsule since 1997. Then you spot a 1969 D penny. And then you remember, didn't some of these sell for crazy money? Like, over $1 million. Well, My friend, if you've got a 1969 D Lincoln penny, you might want to pay attention. Because today, we're talking about one of the most shocking coin values out there, how a penny, yes, a humble 1 cent piece, could be worth up to $1.1 million. But before you start fantasizing about quitting your job and buying a yacht, let's break this down. What makes this coin so special? How do you know if you have the right one? And how can you cash in? Stick around, because I've got some wild facts, some funny stories, and maybe, just maybe, the key to your next big payday. So first things first, why is this little copper coin worth more than a mansion in some parts of the country? The 1969 D. Lincoln penny is part of a rare group of error coins. And in the coin world, errors aren't just mistakes, they're jackpots. This particular penny became legendary because of a very specific kind of mistake, a double die obverse. Now, if you're new to collecting, double die sounds like some kind of video game power-up, but it's actually when a coin's design is struck twice by the die, slightly misaligned. It makes the letters and numbers on the front look all fuzzy, like they had one too many at the bar. The 1969 double die pennies that are worth serious cash were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, meaning no D mint mark. That's the big money coin. So if you have a 1969 penny without a mint mark and it has that doubled image, that's when you start calling coin dealers and planning your retirement. Okay, I know what you're thinking. What about the 1969 D penny? You came here because you heard one sold for $1.1 million, right? Well, let me clear this up before anyone flips their entire coin collection onto the floor in excitement. The actual 1969 D penny, as in the one with the Denver mint mark, is not the $1 million coin. The one that hit the big bucks was the 1969 no mint mark double die penny. But before you click away in disappointment, don't worry, your 1969 D penny can still be valuable. High-grade versions of the 1969 D penny, especially in MS 67 condition or better, have sold for hundreds, even thousands of dollars at auction. And if it's got a dramatic mint error, like an off-center strike or a could break, then you could still be looking at a nice payday. Now, if you're staring at a 1969 D penny right now, squinting at it under a lamp, here's what to look for. Coins in uncirculated or near-perfect shape are worth the most. If it looks like it's been through a vending machine war, not so much. Look for things like missing letters, extra metal, or any kind of weird doubling. If you think you have a rare one, get it checked by a professional. Don't just assume, get it graded by PCGS or NGC to confirm. Now, let me tell you about the time I thought I hit the jackpot. A few years ago, I was helping my grandpa clean out his attic, and we found an old coffee can full of pennies. I mean, it was like a pirate's treasure chest, but instead of gold, it was all copper and lint. I see a 1969 penny. No mint mark. I start sweating. My hands are shaking. I'm already planning my vacation. I rush to get my magnifying glass, because I'm a serious collector, and serious collectors own magnifying glasses, and guess what? No doubling. Just a regular old 1969 penny worth exactly 1 cent. Coin collecting is a roller coaster. But it's also a blast, because you never know when you'll find something valuable. The 1969 no mint mark double die penny is the one worth over $1.1 million. The 1969 D penny isn't a millionaire. But in high grades or with certain errors, it can still be worth good money. Because even if you don't find a $1 million penny, you could still come across something valuable. And if you love hunting for hidden treasures in your pocket change, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because I'm always dropping videos on coins worth money, strategies for building a valuable collection, and stories from collectors just like you. Who knows? Maybe next time, it'll be your penny that's worth a fortune. All right, folks, imagine this. You're digging through your couch cushions, looking for a lost remote, and instead, you pull out a dusty old penny. You think, just another 1 cent wonder. But what if I told you that one single penny, just like the one in your hand, could be worth a staggering $1.20 million? Yeah, you heard that right. A $1 million penny. And no, this isn't one of those get-rich-quick schemes where you have to sell your soul or trade your grandma's antique tea set. This is real. Today, we're talking about the legendary 1982 no mint mark Lincoln penny, one of the rarest and most valuable coins floating around in spare change. Now, before you go sprinting to your piggy bank like a lunatic, sit tight. I'm gonna break down what makes this coin special, how to spot one, and why the heck it's worth more than a sports car. Plus, I'll share a little story about the time I thought I struck it rich, only to get a rude reality check. So grab a cup of coffee, kick back, and let's dive in. The mystery behind the 1982 no-mint mark penny. First things first, what's the big deal with this penny? Well, in 1982, the US Mint was making some major changes. That year, they switched from solid copper pennies to zinc with a copper coating to save money. If you remember gas prices in the 80s, you know every penny counted. Now, most 1982 pennies have a little letter under the date showing where they were made, either a D for Denver or no mark at all, meaning it was made in Philadelphia. But here's the kicker. There's a very specific error version of this penny that has no mint mark but was accidentally made using a rare die. And that's what collectors are going absolutely nuts over. So, how do you know if you've got the golden ticket disguised as a humble penny? This means it was made in Philadelphia, but not just any Philly penny will do. It's got to have that specific rare die. This is crucial. If it's a lighter 2.5-gram penny, it's a zinc version, and sorry, you're not retiring early. Some pennies from this year have weak or blurry strikes, but this rare one is crisp and clean. Easiest way to check? Drop it on a table. Copper pennies make a nice ringing sound, while zinc ones sound dull. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would anyone pay $1 million for a penny? Well, my friends, that's the beauty of coin collecting. This particular penny is rare, so rare that only one confirmed specimen has been found so far. And when something is one of a kind, collectors will pay top dollar to own it. Think of it like baseball cards. A regular old card might be worth 5 cents, but if it's a rare misprint featuring Babe Ruth with a mustache, boom, instant fortune. All right, so let me tell you about the time I thought I was about to join the Millionaires Club. A few years back, I was going through a giant jar of pennies because, that's what us coin nerds do for fun on a Saturday night. And suddenly, I spot a 1982 no-mint mark penny. My heart started racing. I grabbed my scale, waited, and it was 3.11 grams. I was already picturing my dream house, a new car, maybe even an island. But then I checked it again and realized I had misread the date. It was a 1983. Nothing brings you back down to earth faster than thinking you've got $1 million coin, only to realize it's worth exactly 1 cent. But hey, that's the thrill of the hunt. And that's why you should always double-check your coins. Check your change. That penny in your pocket could be worth a fortune. And even if you don't find this $1 million beauty, there are plenty of other valuable coins out there waiting to be discovered. If you want more tips on spotting rare coins, learning insider coin collecting strategies, and making money from your spare change, you need to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on the next big coin worth money. If you do find a 1982 no-mint mark penny, don't forget who told you about it first. Maybe send me a postcard from your yacht. Hey there, fellow coin enthusiasts and curious minds. Welcome back to our channel, Big Coins Dealer, where we dive deep into the jingling pockets of history to uncover treasures that might just be hiding in plain sight. Today, we're zooming in on a coin that could turn your piggy bank into a gold mine, the 1994 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Could this humble cent really be worth a whopping $1.3 million? Grab your magnifying glasses, and let's find out. First things first, let's talk about the 1994 Lincoln penny. In 1994, the U.S. Mint in Philadelphia produced over 6.5 billion pennies. Yes, billion with a B. These coins typically don't bear a mint mark, which is standard for pennies minted in Philly. In circulated condition, these pennies are usually worth their face value, just 1 cent. U.S. Coins Guide. But wait, before you dump that jar of pennies back into circulation, there's more to the story. While most 1994 pennies won't make you rich, certain factors can skyrocket their value. For instance, a 1994 penny graded MS68RD, that's Mint State 68 with red color designation, fetched $646 at auction in 2013. Even more astonishing, some sources suggest that a pristine 1994 penny without a mint mark could be worth up to $13,000. Now, you might be wondering, what's the big deal about a missing mint mark? Typically, U.S. coins feature a mint mark indicating where they were produced, P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco. However, pennies from the Philadelphia Mint traditionally lack a mint mark. So, a 1994 penny without a mint mark isn't an error, it's the norm. All right, let's address the elephant in the room, or rather, the penny in the jar. Rumors have circulated about a 1994 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny fetching $1.3 million. As much as we'd all love to find $1 million penny under our couch cushions, there's no verified record of such a sale. The highest known auction prices for 1994 pennies are in the hundreds to low thousands, depending on their condition and unique characteristics. While a standard 1994 penny might not make you a millionaire, error coins are a different ballgame. Mule errors, where a coin is struck with mismatched dies, can be incredibly valuable. For example, a 1999 Lincoln penny with a mule error sold for $138,000 in 2006. So, always keep an eye out for anomalies. Let me share a quick story. A few years back, I was rummaging through my grandfather's old coin collection. Amidst the usual suspects, I found a penny that looked different. Turns out, it was a 1955 double-die penny, a famous error coin. That little discovery funded my entire summer vacation. So, never underestimate the power of pocket change. In conclusion, while the average 1994 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny won't buy you more than a piece of gum, exceptional specimens and error coins can be worth a pretty penny. Pun intended. So, next time you get change, take a moment to inspect those coins. You never know, you might just strike copper or gold. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of coin collecting and want to uncover more hidden treasures in your everyday life, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Share your own coin discoveries in the comments below, and let's turn that spare change into share change. Keep collecting, keep exploring, and remember, every coin tells a story. All right, folks, let's talk about something that might just change your life, or at least your wallet. Imagine digging through your old change jar, pulling out a regular OL penny, and realizing it's worth a whopping $1.40 million. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. Come on, a penny? Really? But let me tell you, this isn't some wild internet rumor. This is real, and it all comes down to the 1993 Lincoln penny. Now, before you start tearing up your couch cushions looking for one, let me break it down for you. Why is this penny worth more than a mansion? How can you tell if you have one? And most importantly, where can you sell it for that sweet cash? Stick with me, because we're diving deep into the hidden fortune sitting in your pocket change. All right, let's get one thing straight. Most 1993 pennies are just that. Pennies. Worth a cent, maybe 5 if you find a really generous collector. But then there's the legendary $1.4 million version. It all comes down to a minting error. You see, the US Mint is pretty good at what they do, but even they make mistakes. And in 1993, they made a big one that turned a plain old penny into a jackpot. What to look for in a $1.4 million penny now? If you're like me, the last thing you want is to spend hours staring at every penny under a microscope. But trust me, it's worth it. If it doesn't have a D under the date, forget it. This one was struck at the some of these pennies have a noticeable doubling in the lettering or Lincoln's profile. Look closely at Liberty and In God We Trust. Some 1993 pennies were accidentally struck on a bronze planchet instead of zinc. This gives them if your penny looks like it's been through a lawnmower, it's not going to be worth millions. The big money versions are in top shape, what collectors call mint state. How my own coin hunt turned into a comedy show now, let me tell you a quick story. A while back, after hearing about these rare pennies, I got a little too excited. I dumped out every penny I owned on my kitchen table, my couch, even the floor of my car. I was knee-deep in copper. My wife walked in and just stared at me like I'd lost my mind. I held up a penny and said, "This could be the one." She rolled her eyes and said, "Yeah, and I could be married to a millionaire, but here we are." Spoiler alert, I didn't find the $1 million penny, but I did find a couple of interesting errors worth a few bucks. And guess what? That's how it starts. One little discovery leads to another, and before you know it, you're the guy everyone calls when they find weird-looking change. Where to sell a valuable 1993 penny. So, let's say you actually hit the jackpot and find one of these rare pennies. Where do you cash in? Heritage auctions, Stax Bowers, or great collections can get you the best price. Get it authenticated by PCGS or NGC before selling. Nobody's dropping $1.4 million on a penny unless it's legit. You might get lucky, but auctions usually bring the biggest payouts. Other valuable pennies to watch for. Even if you don't find the golden ticket of pennies, there are plenty of others worth real money. Alright, guys, let's be real. Most of us don't expect to get rich from spare change. But finding a rare coin? That's like winning the lottery, except you don't even have to buy a ticket. The next time you get a handful of pennies, take a second to check. That one little cent could change your life. Now, if you like this video and want more tips on valuable coins, make sure to subscribe. I've got plenty more coin collecting strategies coming your way. And who knows? The next rare penny I talk about might be sitting in your pocket right now. All right, folks, let me ask you something. When's the last time you actually looked at your pocket change? No, I don't mean just grabbing a quarter for the parking meter. I mean really looking. Because if you've got a 1985 penny lying around, you might just be holding onto a small fortune. Yeah, I'm talking about a humble little Lincoln cent that could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.50 million. Sounds crazy, right? A penny that's worth more than a house? Well, stick with me because we're diving deep into what makes this coin so special, how to spot one, and why collectors are willing to shell out big bucks for it. And trust me, after this, you're never going to look at a penny the same way again. And I'll also share a little story about the time I almost spent a rare coin on a gas station hot dog. Yeah, we all make mistakes. Okay, so let's start with the basics. The 1985 Lincoln penny was minted in Denver, and for the most part, it looks like every other penny from that year. Same copper-plated zinc composition, same good Abraham Lincoln staring off into the distance. Nothing fancy, right? There's a rare error on some of these pennies that makes them incredibly valuable. We're talking about a major double die error. Basically, the design was struck twice, but slightly misaligned. This creates a doubling effect that's visible, especially in the lettering and the date. Now, before you start flipping every penny in your house, let me tell you what to look for. The word Liberty should have noticeable doubling. The date 1985 should have a clear doubled effect. Some coins even show doubling on Lincoln's eye and Bodie because this error wasn't caught right away. A handful of these pennies slipped into circulation. That means one could be sitting in a jar on your kitchen counter right now. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, a doubling error. But why is it worth more than my car? The better shape it's in, the more money it's worth. A mint condition 1985 double die penny is where the $1.5 million price tag comes in. Demand. Collectors love error coins, and when you mix rarity with high demand, prices skyrocket. Just to put this into perspective, a regular 1985 penny? It's worth, well, a penny. But a 1985 with this rare doubling error? That's a different story. One of these recently made headlines after selling for over $1.5 million at auction. Yep, some lucky person probably found it in their pocket and cashed in big time. Now, let me share a little cautionary tale with you. A while back, I was digging through my change and found a weird-looking penny. Something about it seemed off, but I was in a hurry and didn't think much of it. Fast forward a few hours, and I'm at a gas station. I grab a hot dog, some chips, and a soda. The total? A few bucks. I reach into my pocket, pull out some change, and, yep, you guessed it. That strange-looking penny was in the mix. I was this close to handing it over. But then, at the last second, something in my brain went, hold up, maybe check that penny first. So I did. And let me tell you, my jaw hit the floor when I realized I had been about to spend a coin worth hundreds of dollars on a hot dog that, let's be honest, probably wouldn't have even been that good. So, there you have it. The 1985 Lincoln penny, a simple, everyday coin that could be hiding in plain sight, just waiting to turn someone into a millionaire. If you've got a jar of pennies collecting dust, now's the time to start digging. Who knows? Maybe you've got a rare one just waiting to be discovered. And hey, if you enjoyed this video and want more tips on spotting coins worth serious money, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I've got plenty more insider coin collecting secrets coming your way, and you don't want to miss out. Now, go check your change and don't spend your fortune on gas station hot dogs. There, fellow coin enthusiasts. Imagine this. You're digging through your pocket change, and you stumble upon a penny that's worth a whopping $1.6 million. Sounds like a dream, right? Well, hold on to your hats, because today we're diving into the fascinating world of the 2013 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. We'll explore its value, debunk some myths, and share some laughs along the way. So, let's get started. You know that feeling when you find a crumpled dollar bill in your old jeans? Now, imagine that times a million, literally. The coin we're talking about today is rumored to have fetched $1.6 million at auction. But is there any truth to this tale, or is it just another urban legend? Let's roll up our sleeves and find out. First things first, Let's talk about what a no-mint mark penny is. In the US, coins are minted at various locations, and each mint adds its unique mark to the coins it produces. For example, pennies from Denver have a D mint mark, and those from San Francisco sport an S. However, pennies minted in Philadelphia traditionally don't have a mint mark, so a 2013 penny without a mint mark simply means it was produced in Philly. How much is this penny worth? According to sources like Silver Recyclers, most 2013 pennies in circulated condition are worth, drumroll, please, their face value of 1 cent. That's right. If you've got one jingling in your pocket, it's probably worth exactly what you think. However, if you have a 2013 penny in uncirculated condition, meaning it hasn't been used in everyday transactions, it might fetch a bit more. Such coins can be worth around 30 cents in an MS65 grade, which is a fancy way of saying it's in near-perfect condition. So, where did this $1.6 million figure come from? Well, there was indeed a penny that sold for a staggering amount, but it wasn't a 2013 no-mint mark penny. Back in 2010, a rare 1943 penny mistakenly struck in bronze at the Denver Mint sold for $1.7 million. During World War II, pennies were supposed to be made from zinc-coated steel to conserve copper, but a few bronze blanks got through, creating these valuable errors. While your 2013 penny might not make you a millionaire, certain errors can increase its value. This occurs when the die strikes the planchet multiple times at slightly different angles, resulting in a doubling of the inscriptions and designs. A 2013 D penny with such an error graded MS60 fetched $215 at auction. Sometimes, a penny is struck on a planchet meant for another coin, like a dime. A 2013 D penny with this error graded MS64 sold for $1,050. This happens when the coin is struck outside the collar, causing it to be larger and thinner than usual. A 2013 P penny with this error graded MS62 sold for $555. Let me share a little story. A few years ago, I was at a garage sale and found a jar of old coins. Among them was a shiny penny that looked a bit odd. My heart raced as I thought, could this be one of those rare error coins? I rushed home, did some research, and it turned out to be a regular penny someone had polished. Lesson learned, not all that glitters is gold or valuable copper. So, what's the takeaway here? While the 2013 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is a neat piece of pocket change, it's not going to fund your dream vacation. However, always keep an eye out for those rare errors. You never know when you might strike it rich. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of pennies and want to learn more about coins that could be worth more than their face value, hit that subscribe button. Join our community of coin enthusiasts, and let's uncover the hidden treasures in our pockets together. Don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment about your own coin discoveries. Hey folks, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at the pennies jingling around in your pocket? No, I don't mean just grabbing a handful to dump in that giant jar on your dresser. I mean really looked at them. Because if you've got a 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, you might be holding on to a coin worth, get this, $1.7 million. Yeah, you heard that right. A single penny could be worth more than a mansion, a Ferrari, and a lifetime supply of cheeseburgers. And you know what's wild? Most people have no clue they might have one. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, a 1978 penny? I've got a ton of those. What makes this one special? Well, sit tight, because today, we're diving deep into this rare and valuable coin. I'll break down exactly what to look for, why it's so valuable, and how you can cash in if you find one. Plus, I'll throw in a personal story about the time I almost lost a valuable coin in the dumbest way possible. So, grab a cup of coffee, pull out that jar of spare change, and let's go treasure hunting. All right. So let's talk about this legendary 1978 penny. First off, most pennies from that year were struck in Philadelphia, no-mint mark, Denver, D, or San Francisco, S. But here's the kicker. There's a rare error penny from the Philadelphia Mint that's missing its mint mark entirely. And not just any missing mint mark. This one comes from a unique die that created an ultra-rare version of the penny. That means if you've got a 1978 penny with no mint mark, you might be looking at a small copper disc that's worth more than a Rolls-Royce. But before you start spending that imaginary $1.7 million, let's make sure you've actually got the real deal. No mint mark. Most 1978 pennies from Philly don't have a mint mark, but the valuable one has a specific bold strike with crisp lettering and a clear rim. If it looks worn down, it's probably just a regular penny. Sharp details on Lincoln's hair and coat. This coin was struck with extra detail compared to standard pennies. If Honest Abe looks like he just stepped out of the barber shop with a fresh cut, you're onto something. Regular 1978 pennies weigh 3.11 grams, but some rare errors have minor weight variations due to minting mistakes. If yours feels a little off, you might need a scale. Some of these valuable pennies have printing errors that make them even rarer. If Lincoln's face looks like he's got a shadow, that's a double die. Okay, here's where things get crazy. A collector recently shelled out $1.7 million for one of these bad boys. Why? Because coin collectors love rare errors, and the 1978 no-mint mark penny with these specific features is almost impossible to find in mint condition. It's like finding a vintage baseball card signed by Babe Ruth. Only there's just one or two known to exist. Now, let me tell you a quick story about the time I almost lost a valuable coin. A few years back, I was sorting through a box of old coins, and I came across a super rare wheat penny from the 1940s. I didn't think much of it at first, just tossed it into my pocket. Later that day, I stopped at a gas station for coffee. I'm fumbling through my pocket for change, grab a couple of pennies, and almost hand one over to the cashier. But right before I drop it into her hand, I freeze. Something told me to double-check. Yeah, I almost bought a $2 cup of coffee with a coin worth more than my rent. Lesson learned: always check your spare change. So if you've got a 1978 penny sitting around, do not just toss it into the nearest tip jar. Give it a good look. You might be sitting on a small fortune. All right, folks, that's the scoop on the insanely rare and valuable 1978 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. If you've got one, you could be looking at a life-changing payday. And if not, don't worry. There are tons of valuable coins still floating around out there. Next time you get some change back, don't just shove it in your pocket. Check it. You never know when you might strike gold. Well, copper in this case. And if you enjoyed this video and want more tips on coins worth money and how to find them, hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more stories, strategies, and coin hunting secrets coming your way. Hey folks, let me ask you something. Have you ever dug through your pocket change, looking for something valuable, only to find absolutely nothing but lint? Yeah, me too. But imagine this. You're sifting through a jar of pennies, and you spot a 1971 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. At first, you think, just another old penny. But hold on. What if I told you that little copper coin could be worth a jaw-dropping $2.60 million? Yeah, you heard that right. $2.6 million for a penny. Today, we're diving deep into this insane 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny, why it's worth so much, and most importantly, how you can spot one. So stick around, because by the end of this video, you just might be running to check your piggy bank. All right, let's break this down. Most pennies from 1971 were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Normally, if a penny was made in Denver or San Francisco, it'd have a little D or S under the date. But the ones made in Philly? No mint mark at all. So what makes this particular penny different from the millions of others? For those of you thinking, double die what now? Let me explain. A double die obverse means the coin's design was accidentally stamped twice during the minting process, creating a noticeable doubling effect on the lettering and details. And when it happens on something like a 1971 penny with no mint mark, boom, it becomes a collector's dream. Now, if you're going to be the next lucky person to find a multi-million-dollar penny, you need to know exactly what to look for. If the letters look like they have a shadow or are slightly doubled, you might be onto something. The doubling should be clear, especially on God and trust. If you see a distinct second image slightly offset from the first, jackpot. If you've got all three of these, congratulations. You just might be looking at an insanely rare and valuable penny. All right, let's talk money. In the world of coin collecting, condition is everything. The most valuable 1971 no-mint mark Lincoln penny wasn't just any old coin. It was in mint condition, graded as MS 67 red. That means it looked almost brand new, despite being over 50 years old. A collector, realizing just how rare and pristine this penny was, snatched it up for $2.6 million at an auction. And let me tell you, when that hammer dropped and the final bid was called, jaws hit the floor. Now, let's get real. The chances of finding this exact penny in perfect condition are slim. But hey, slim isn't zero. And even if you find one in a lower grade, it could still be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And if you're like me, you're probably thinking, man, I've had a ton of old pennies over the years. What if I had one and just spent it on a gas station coffee? Well, I had a wake-up call a few years back when I learned an old coin I once tossed in a tip jar was worth over $50. 50 bucks. That could have been a nice steak dinner. So now, you better believe I check every single penny before I spend it. My friends, what's the lesson here? Never underestimate the power of pocket change. That little penny in your junk drawer? It could be your golden ticket. Now, if you want more tips on finding coins worth serious cash, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'm here to help you dig through your change and hopefully strike it rich. Hey folks, let me ask you a question. If I told you that a single penny, yes, just one little cent, could be worth $2.7 million, would you believe me? Or would you think I've completely lost my marbles? Well, grab your change jar, because today we're talking about the 1964 D. Lincoln penny, a coin that could literally turn you into a millionaire overnight. Now, before you go flipping your couch cushions and raiding your piggy banks, let me tell you a quick story. A few years back, I was at a flea market, digging through an old jar of pennies a guy was selling for $1. I found a wheat penny and thought, hey, nice little find. But the guy next to me? He picked up a regular-looking penny, got real quiet, and then bolted out of there like he just found a winning lottery ticket. Ever since, I've been on a mission to make sure nobody, especially you, overlooks a potentially life-changing penny. So stick with me, because we're diving deep into what makes the 1964 D. Lincoln penny so valuable, what to look for, and how you might have one without even knowing it. All right, let's break it down. The 1964 D penny is not just your average pocket change. This particular coin has gained legendary status because of a rare error and an unusual set of circumstances. The Denver Mint, which is what the D Mint mark stands for. Now, the US Mint was going through some serious coin drama in the 1960s. They were trying to phase out silver in coins, and with the high demand for pennies, production was in overdrive. Mistakes were bound to happen. Some 1964 D pennies were accidentally struck on silver planchets, which means they were supposed to be dimes, but somehow ended up as pennies. And when you have a mistake like that, collectors go wild. How to spot a $2.7 million 1964 D penny before you start emptying every penny roll at the bank. Let's talk about what you should be looking for. Make sure it has the little D below the date, showing it's from the Denver Mint. A normal Lincoln penny weighs 3.11 grams. If yours is lighter or heavier, you might have something special. Silver planchets would make the weight closer to 2.5 grams, so grab a scale. Pennies are not magnetic. If yours sticks to a magnet, you might have a fake or something odd, but not the jackpot. A silver penny might have a different color or make a distinct ring sound if you flick it. Try comparing it to a regular penny and see if you notice a difference. One of these rare error coins sold for a whopping $2.7 million at auction. Imagine the look on that person's face when they found out their penny was worth more than a Ferrari. So let's say you've checked your jar, found a suspicious 1964 D penny, and now your hands are shaking a little. Get it authenticated. Take it to a reputable coin dealer or send it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll confirm if it's the real deal. Check online auctions. Look at eBay, Heritage Auctions, or Stacksbowers to see what similar coins are selling for. Don't clean it. I repeat, do not scrub it, polish it, or try to make it look shiny. Imagine having a rare coin worth millions and then scrubbing it with toothpaste. That's like finding a winning lottery ticket and putting it through the washing machine. Don't be that guy. So there you have it. The 1964 D. Lincoln penny might just be the most exciting penny in your collection or sitting in your pocket right now. If you've got one, get it checked. And if not, well, it's a great excuse to start going through your spare change. And hey, if you love learning about coins that could be worth a fortune, hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty more tips, tricks, and crazy coin stories coming your way. Who knows? The next time we talk, it might be about a penny in your pocket that's worth a life-changing amount of money. All right, picture this. You're digging through your change jar, looking for a quarter for the parking meter, and you spot a 1968 D. Lincoln penny. No big deal, right? It's just a penny. But what if I told you that little copper coin could be worth $2.8 million? Yeah, You heard that right, 2.8 million. Now, before you start tearing through your couch cushions and flipping over every penny in sight, let me break down why this coin is so valuable, what to look for, and how you might just be holding on to a fortune without even knowing it. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this one, because by the end of this video, you'll never look at your spare change the same way again. So, what makes this coin so special? After all, 1968 pennies aren't exactly rare, millions were minted. But here's the catch. Some of these pennies were struck on the wrong planchet, meaning they were accidentally made using the wrong metal. And those mistakes? Well, they're worth a ton of money to collectors. Think of it like a factory recall, except instead of getting a refund, you get a payday big enough to retire early. It's got to have that little D under the year 1968, which means it was minted in Denver. No, D? Sorry, no jackpot. A normal 1968 D penny should weigh 3.11 grams. But the big money version? It's either heavier or lighter than that. The real jackpot pennies were struck on silver or transitional planchets by mistake. That's what makes them so rare. If it looks like it was run over by a truck, it's probably not going to bring in millions. The better the condition, the higher the price. My almost $1 million mistake now. Let me tell you about the time I almost hit the jackpot, but didn't. A few years back, I was at a flea market, sifting through a random box of coins. You know the kind, where every coin costs a quarter, and the seller clearly has no idea what they've got. Well, I spot a 1968 D penny that looks a little different. It's got that odd silverish shine to it, and my gut is telling me this is something special. But do I buy it? Nope. I think, it's just a penny. I'll come back later. Spoiler alert, I never came back. A week later, I'm doing some research and realize I might have just walked away from $1 million coin. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, but has anyone actually sold one of these for millions? Yes. In fact, a 1968 D-era penny recently went for $2.8 million at auction. That's life-changing money, all for a coin most people wouldn't think twice about. And even if yours isn't the ultimate rare variety, there are still plenty of 1968 D pennies worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, especially if they're in great condition. Check your change. That little jar of pennies sitting in your kitchen could be hiding a small fortune. If you find a 1968 D penny that looks a little off, weigh it, check the metal, and don't make my mistake, get it checked out. And if you want more tips on spotting rare coins, finding hidden treasures, and turning spare change into serious cash, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I post videos all the time about coins worth money, and trust me, you don't want to miss the next one. Alright, folks, picture this. You're digging through your couch cushions, hoping to find some spare change for a coffee, and you pull out an old, dusty penny. You almost toss it aside, but then you think, wait a second, what if this is one of those rare coins worth a fortune? Well, what if I told you that a 1961 D Lincoln penny recently sold for a jaw-dropping $2.9 million? Yes, you heard that right. A single penny, less than an inch of copper, worth more than a mansion, a fleet of sports cars, or a lifetime supply of coffee, whatever floats your boat. Today, we're diving deep into this legendary penny, how you can spot one, and why someone would shell out millions for a coin you might already have in your pocket. So grab your change jar, get comfortable, and let's talk about how a little Lincoln can lead to a lot of loot. Now, before you go turning your house upside down looking for this bad boy, let's talk about what makes the 1961 D penny so special. Most 1961 D pennies? Worth a couple of cents. Maybe a few bucks if they're in great shape. But the one that sold for $2.9 million? That's no ordinary penny. This particular coin was struck on a rare experimental planchet, meaning it was made from a unique metal composition that wasn't supposed to be used. Essentially, it's a minting mistake, but the kind of mistake that makes collectors drool. Mint workers back in the day weren't exactly perfectionists. There could be more of these floating around. Alright, let's break it down. Located under the year 1961 on the front of the penny. If it doesn't have the D, which stands for Denver Mint, keep searching. The multi-million-dollar penny wasn't made from regular copper. It had a mix of different metals, making it slightly different in color and weight. Look for things like doubled letters, missing details, or an off-center strike. The more mistakes, the better. The shinier, the better. A penny that looks like it's been through a garbage disposal probably isn't hitting the millions. Now, let me tell you a quick story about a time I thought I hit the jackpot. A few years ago, I was at a flea market, digging through an old jar of coins a guy was selling for $5. Right on top, I saw a 1961 D penny. My heart nearly jumped out of my chest. I raced home, pulled out my magnifying glass like some kind of detective, and examined every tiny detail. It had the D mint mark. It had some weird coloring. I took it to a coin expert, ready to hear the magic congratulations. "You're rich." "Sir," he said, "this is just a really dirty penny. My millionaire dreams? Crushed. But hey, at least I got a good story out of it." "Okay, so what if you do find a rare 1961 D penny? What's it worth?" The ultra-rare experimental planchet version sold for $2.9 million. But even regular 1961 D pennies can be valuable. 5 to 25 cents. Not life-changing, but hey, more than a penny. Uncirculated condition, $5 to $50, depending on the quality. Hundreds, even thousands of dollars, depending on the mistake. Well, we already know what happens there. Multi-million-dollar paydays. The key? Get your coins graded. A professional coin grading service can tell you if you've got a winner. Always check your pennies before spending them. You never know when you might be holding on to a small fortune. Coin collecting isn't just a hobby, it's a treasure hunt. And sometimes, just sometimes, that treasure turns out to be worth millions. If you ever see me at a flea market, digging through coin jars like a man on a mission, just know I'm still chasing the jackpot. Now, if you enjoyed this video and want more tips on spotting rare and valuable coins, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You never know, next time, the coin we talk about might be sitting in your pocket, just waiting to make you rich. Hey folks, imagine this. You're sifting through your loose change, maybe grabbing a penny to toss in a wishing well, and boom. That little copper coin in your hand could be worth a whopping $3 million. Yeah, you heard me right. $3 million. Today, we're talking about the 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny, a humble little coin with a jaw-dropping value that could change your life. You might be sitting on a gold mine without even knowing it. So grab your coffee, get comfy, and let's dive into the wild world of valuable pennies. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll never look at pocket change the same way again. Before we get into the nitty-gritty details, let me tell you a quick story. A few years ago, I was at a flea market, casually flipping through an old box of coins. Nothing special, just some wheat pennies, buffalo nickels, and a couple of dusty half-dollars. Then, an old guy next to me picks up a penny, squints at it, and his face turns white. He shoves it in his pocket and practically sprints out of there. Turns out, that man had just found a rare 1955 double-die Lincoln penny, worth tens of thousands of dollars, for a dime. A dime. I've been kicking myself ever since, wondering how many valuable coins I've let slip through my fingers. That's when I decided, I'm never overlooking a penny again. And neither should you. Why is the 1952 Lincoln penny worth so much? So, what makes this penny so ridiculously valuable? The answer comes down to rarity, condition, and demand. The 1952 penny was minted in San Francisco, which already makes it less common than Philadelphia minted pennies. Only a handful of these coins were struck with a specific error that makes them worth a fortune. Some of these pennies have a repunched mint mark, RPM, meaning the little s on the coin was stamped twice by accident. Collectors go crazy for these errors. A regular 1952 penny in average condition, worth a couple of cents. But a pristine, near-perfect one? That's where the big money comes in. All right, let's talk numbers. What's this little copper beauty actually selling for today? A circulated 1952 penny, one that's been used in everyday transactions, is worth between 5 cents and a couple of bucks. Not life-changing, but better than face value. In mint condition, meaning it looks almost brand new. It can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. A flawless, ultra-rare specimen with an error recently sold for $3 million at auction. That's enough to buy a mansion, a sports car, and still have money left over for a lifetime supply of tacos. How to know if you have one? So, how do you check if you've got a jackpot penny hiding in your collection? If your 1952 penny doesn't have an S under the date, sorry, it's not the rare one. Use a magnifying glass and check if the S looks like it was stamped twice. That's the valuable error. The shinier and less worn your penny is, the more it's worth. If it looks like it's been run over by a truck, well, let's just say it won't be paying for your dream vacation. If you think you've got a rare one, Send it to a coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll tell you exactly what it's worth. Let's say you hit the jackpot and find a valuable 1952 S penny. Now what? Sites like eBay and heritage auctions are great places to sell rare coins. Some dealers will offer a quick sale, though you might not get top dollar. Sometimes the best buyers are serious collectors who'll pay big bucks for the right coin. But there's a 1952 S wheat penny out there worth $3 million. The question is, do you have one? It's time to dig through those old jars, check under couch cushions, and maybe even raid Grandma's coin collection, with permission, of course. And hey, even if you don't find the $1 million penny, you might just stumble on a different rare coin worth some serious cash. So before you spend another penny, take a second look. You never know what treasure might be hiding in your pocket. If you love discovering valuable coins and learning money-making collecting strategies, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I've got plenty more secrets, tips, and stories to help you turn pocket change into big bucks. Hey, everyone, imagine this. You're digging through your spare change, maybe looking for coffee money, and boom, you spot a 1981 penny. No big deal, right? Just another 1-cent coin. But what if I told you that a certain 1981 Lincoln penny, one without a mint mark, is worth a jaw-dropping $3.1 million? Yeah, you heard me right. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, great. Another one of those, your old coins could make you rich stories. But this isn't some internet rumor. This is real. And today, I'm going to break down exactly why this penny is so valuable, how to tell if you've got one, and what makes it so special. Plus, I'll share a quick story about the time I almost threw away a coin worth hundreds, seriously. You won't believe how close I was to losing out. So grab that jar of pennies and let's dive in. All right, so let's get into the big question. Why would anyone in their right mind pay over $3 million for a single penny? Well, it all comes down to a minting error. In 1981, the U.S. Mint produced pennies in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. But here's the kicker: Philadelphia pennies were supposed to have a mint mark. Somehow, a tiny batch of these coins left the mint without the P mint mark, a huge mistake. And because these error coins are so rare, collectors go crazy for them. It's like finding a 4-leaf clover in a field of regular ones. If that 4-leaf clover was worth millions, how do you know if that old penny in your drawer is one of these rare gems? If there's no tiny P below the date, you might have the rare one. Condition. If your penny looks like it just came out, no scratches, no wear, then you're in luck. The best ones are in mint state condition. Now, before you start screaming, "I'm rich," and quitting your job, you gotta verify it. A professional coin grading service, like PCGS or NGC, can confirm if you've hit the jackpot or if you're just holding on to a regular penny. Now, here's where things get spicy. In recent auctions, one of these no-mint mark 1981 pennies sold for $3.1 million. Yes, million with an M. And that's not just some fluke. The demand for rare error coins has been skyrocketing, and collectors with deep pockets are always on the hunt for the next big find. Speaking of valuable coins, let me tell you about the time I almost threw away a coin worth hundreds. I was at a gas station, paying for some snacks, and I noticed a weird-looking dime in my change. It was super thin, almost like it had been pressed funny. I figured, just a damaged coin, and was about to toss it in the take a penny, leave a penny tray. But something in me said, hold up, Google it first. And thank goodness I did. Turns out, I was holding a rare thin Planchet Roosevelt dime worth over $200. I was about to give it away for free. That was the day I learned, always check your change before spending it. You never know when you might be holding a small fortune. All right, so let's say you actually find a 1981 no-mint mark penny. Do not clean it. Cleaning a coin can actually destroy its value. Get it authenticated. Take it to a certified coin dealer or grading service. If you need cash, an auction house like Heritage Auctions or Stacksbowers can help you sell it. If you're a collector, holding on to it might make it even more valuable over time. Yes, there really is a 1981 Lincoln penny out there worth over $3 million. And yes, it could still be floating around in someone's pocket change right now. If you've got a pile of old pennies sitting around, it's worth checking. And if you want to learn more about rare coins, valuable finds, and smart collecting strategies, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss the next big discovery. Who knows? Maybe next time, we'll be talking about the rare penny sitting in your pocket. All right, let me ask you something. Have you ever found a penny on the ground and thought, Eh, it's just a penny? Well, what if I told you that one tiny, unassuming 1964 D. Lincoln penny could be worth a jaw-dropping $3.2 million? Yeah, you heard that right. A single penny worth more than a mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, or a lifetime supply of coffee, depending on how serious your caffeine addiction is. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, a penny? Really? Trust me, I get it. I used to think the same thing. In fact, I once spent an entire afternoon digging through my change jar, hoping to find something rare, only to end up with a handful of lint and about 4 Canadian pennies. But let me tell you, once I learned just how valuable some coins can be, I never looked at pocket change the same way again. So, grab your coin jar, your reading glasses, or a magnifying glass if you're feeling fancy, because today we're diving deep into the 1964 D. Lincoln penny, why it's so valuable, what to look for, and how you might just be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it. So, what makes this penny worth millions? I mean, it's not covered in gold, it wasn't personally signed by Abraham Lincoln, and it doesn't come with a free pizza. But what it does have is something far rarer, an error or special strike that makes it one of a kind. Now, the U.S. Mint pumped out billions of pennies in 1964, especially in Denver, where this one comes from, hence the little d mint mark. But every now and then, something weird happens at the mint. Maybe a coin gets struck on the wrong planchet. Maybe a double die error sneaks in. Or maybe, just maybe, a few special coins get made under mysterious circumstances and slip into circulation. The $3.2 million 1964 D. Lincoln penny is believed to be a special experimental coin, possibly a prototype that was never meant to be released. Some theories suggest it was struck in a unique way or made from a different material, making it incredibly rare. And when I say rare, I mean one-of-a-kind rare. How to identify a 1964 D penny worth millions, alright? So now that I've got your attention, let's talk about what to look for. Imagine finding this penny in your couch cushions. Talk about the best day ever. Look for the D mint mark under the year 1964. That's step one. If yours doesn't have it, well, keep looking. A normal 1964 penny weighs about 3.11 grams if it's made of standard copper. But this rare one, it could have a different weight if it was struck on a unique planchet. The finish. Experts say this rare penny might have a slightly different texture or finish compared to regular ones. Maybe a shinier or more detailed look. Errors or unique strikes. If you spot anything unusual, double dies, misalignment, or even a different metal composition, bingo. You might have a winner. So, how does a coin go from being worth 1 cent to being worth more than most people's retirement accounts? Simple, rarity, demand, and collector frenzy. See, coin collectors are always on the hunt for the rarest finds. The fewer there are, the more they'll pay. And when something like this pops up, a mystery coin with a potentially historic backstory, collectors go wild. Just to give you an idea, the record sale of this 1964 D penny hit $3.2 million at auction. That's because it's the only known example, and serious collectors are willing to pay big to own something that no one else has. I don't know about you, but that makes me want to go through every single penny I've ever touched. All right, so let's say you check your change jar and, you lucky duck, you actually find a 1964 D penny that looks a little different. What do you do next? Don't just run to eBay and list it for millions. Nobody's buying that without proof. Take it to a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC to verify its authenticity. If it's legit, auction houses like Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers can help you get top dollar. If someone offers you $50 for your coin, laugh politely and walk away. Or, sprint away if necessary. A single penny that could change your life. It's crazy to think about, right? But that's the beauty of coin collecting. You never know what hidden treasures might be sitting in your pocket, purse, or that weird kitchen drawer full of random stuff. And listen, if you found this video helpful, or if I just saved you from accidentally spending a small fortune on a pack of gum, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I've got tons more tips on spotting rare coins, collecting strategies, and how to turn your pocket change into serious cash that you might be sitting on $1 million penny without even knowing it. All right, picture this. You're digging through your spare change, looking for a couple of quarters for the vending machine, and you spot an old, worn penny. You think, meh, just another penny. But what if I told you that tiny, unassuming coin could be worth a jaw-dropping $3.3 million. Yep, a single 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has hit that insane value. Now, before you run to your couch cushions or start raiding your grandma's coin jar, stick with me. I'm about to break down what makes this penny so rare, how you can tell if you have one, and most importantly, how you can turn your pocket change into a fortune. And trust me, I've got a story about a time I almost threw away a valuable coin that still haunts me to this day. You won't want to miss this. So, why is the 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln penny worth millions? Well, first, let's talk about the basics. Back in 1967, the US Mint was in the middle of a little, let's call it a coin crisis. People were hoarding coins like they were going out of style, and the government decided to stop putting mint marks on coins for a couple of years. That means all pennies from Philadelphia didn't have a mint mark. Sounds normal, right? Here's where things get interesting. The valuable 1967 penny is a unique error coin. Somewhere along the production line, a very small number of these pennies were struck on the wrong type of metal, an extremely rare and expensive mistake. Most pennies from that year were made of copper, but this special penny was minted on a silver planchet. Yeah, silver. As in the good stuff. Imagine the poor worker at the mint who accidentally mixed up the metals. But they never imagined their mistake would create a coin worth over $3 million. Now, before you start frantically checking every penny in your house, let me save you some time. Here's how you can tell if you've got a $1 million coin. A regular 1,967 penny weighs about 3.11 grams. But the rare silver-struck error weighs around 2.5 grams. Got a kitchen scale? Put it to work. This coin has a lighter, almost silvery appearance compared to the usual coppery tone of regular pennies. If your penny looks like it belongs in a dime's family tree, you might be onto something. Drop it on a hard surface. A copper penny makes a dull thud, while a silver coin gives off a higher-pitched ring. It's like the difference between tapping on wood and tapping on glass. Silver isn't magnetic. So if your penny sticks to a magnet, sorry, but you've just got an ordinary cent. But if it doesn't, keep digging. The time I almost threw away a valuable coin now. Let me tell you about the time I nearly made the biggest mistake of my life. A few years ago, I was rolling up some pennies to take to the bank, just minding my own business, trying to clean out my junk drawer. As I was stacking the coins, I noticed one that looked off. It was shinier than the others, but I thought, must be a new penny. Almost tossed it in the roll without a second thought, but something told me to check it. So I grabbed my magnifying glass. Yes, I have one, don't judge, and realized it wasn't just any penny, it was a 1943 steel cent. Not worth millions, but definitely worth more than 1 cent. That moment taught me a valuable lesson. Always check your change. You never know what kind of hidden treasure you're holding. Now, you're probably wondering, why is this specific 1967 penny worth $3.3 million? Well, rarity drives up value, and this penny is one of only a handful known to exist. Serious collectors will pay big bucks for coins that are one of a kind, and this penny is about as rare as a unicorn wearing a tuxedo. The highest sale of this coin happened at an auction where two collectors got into a bidding war. One of those situations where someone just had to have it, no matter the price. And when two rich collectors go head-to-head, prices go through the roof. There could be more of these out there, just waiting to be discovered. Maybe in your piggy bank, maybe in an old jar in your attic, or maybe even in the change you got from buying a cup of coffee this morning. Check your change. Seriously, if you ever find a 1967 no-mint mark penny that looks unusual, weigh it, test it, and if you think you might have a rare one, take it to a coin expert. You never know. You might just be sitting on a $3.3 million fortune. And if you love learning about hidden treasures in your pocket change, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I've got tons more stories, tips, and strategies to help you turn everyday coins into big bucks. Hit that like button, drop a comment if you've ever found a rare coin, and I'll see you in the next one.